Today on the pod, my guest is Brock Kehres. Brock will talk about tying the course record at Westbrook Country Club, how close he was at being All-Ohio in high school, and coaches that have impacted him along the way. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Bases Loaded podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Kennedy, and today my guest is Brock Kehres. Brock, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. I can't complain. So how old are you and what do you do?
I am 22 years old. Just finished up my undergrad at the University of Findlay. Currently in the process of getting my master's degree, and I was granted another year of eligibility by the NCAA because of COVID-19. And if there was anything good that came out of COVID, I think that was the thing. And the opportunity to get my master's degree was something I couldn't pass up, and to get to play another year of golf was also something that I was really excited about. So I thought I had to jump at the opportunity.
Wow, yeah. As I say, with all the crap that has come out, people have gotten things cut short, unable to do things because of COVID. I assume you're not the only one. Do you know a lot of other kids who are taking advantage of that and trying to get, their master's degree during this time with the extra year of eligibility?
Yeah, so I had two teammates come back the past year that were fourth years when the outbreak started and the season got canceled. So I had two teammates come back and did that, and then me and my who's been my roommate since my freshman year, he's also doing the same thing. So we're both excited, and we get to go out another year and hopefully go out the right way.
I say, so what would you be doing if you weren't going for your masters? You'd be joining the adult, what everybody else does when they're done with college. You're going to get a new job, a career. What would you be doing?
Absolutely, man. My undergrad I was a double major in marketing and sports business with a minor in business management. So I'd have to think I'd be somewhere in the sports world. Hopefully, I'm thinking hopefully that's where I end up someday. Sports has just been such a big part of my life that, I think I, I couldn't see myself sitting behind a desk, doing something unless it had to do with sports. So I think that's probably what I'd be doing right now. But, the cards were dealt the way they were, and here I am another year in school, and, I couldn't be more excited.
As we said on the pre-pod, you have an extra year to think about it, right? A lot of people graduate and they're like,
Absolutely.
I don't know what I want to do. So you got an extra year to think about it, and still
100%.
obviously be able to compete and play. So obviously, the podcast took a little bit of a break about, I don't know, geez, probably 3 months. And I see you and your brother and your dad at a great establishment in Shelby called Weber's. And we strike up the conversation of, we got to get Brock Kehres on the podcast. I'm like, absolutely. So that was where everything was going. And then all of a sudden I'm trying to get things back together, trying to find some, get the time back and prioritize it. Then all of a sudden I see you all over social media about, breaking, or tying the record at Westbrook. And I'm like, whoa, pump the brake, people, pump the brakes, people. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So that's how I drive to school, to work at Clear Fork. I'm going to think about Brock Kehres every time I drive past Westbrook. Can you explain a little bit about what happened, about what was going on with you that day?
Yeah, man, that was something I've never experienced quite yet until that happened. And I was subbing in league that night, in leagues 9 holes. So went off the back 9, started, made a couple birdies early, threw in some pars, made a few more birdies, finished up on the last hole and made another birdie and shot 31 5 under, which was my best 9-hole score out there. And a lot of guys go out and play more after the league's over. So we got a big group together, went out and played some more golf, and pretty much did the same thing on the front 9, and shot another 31 and tied the course record, and was just in a different dimension that day, I guess, and was just super cool and a super humbling and honoring experience, that I got to, be in the same group as, 2 of my favorite guys at Westbrook. And it was amazing. I couldn't have been happier.
So that is like obviously really, really awesome. Were you like nervous when that was going on? Because there's got to be a point where you're like, don't screw this up, or you just try not to think and just go.
Yeah, I've had, real rounds, like tournament rounds where, I've had a good start, and, I've let those thoughts creep in about, oh, like, man, this could be the best round that I've ever played, and those rounds have slipped away from me because of that, the way I was thinking. The big thing is to stay in the moment and take care of what you're doing in the moment. But I can't lie. There were definitely, some thoughts creeping through my head in that moment, going down the last couple holes, knowing what I needed to do. And I knew what I had to do. And, luckily enough, I was able to stay locked in and, do something I'd never done before.
That's awesome. So obviously a huge sports fan, growing up in a family that's obsessed with sports. What was your life like personally for you, growing up as a youngster?
Yeah, it was incredible. I really couldn't ask for more. Mom and dad were always super supportive. My brother Tristan was always a huge influence on me, and he got to play college football at Ohio Dominican, and so getting to watch him was awesome. But growing up, I was into any sport basically. Started out with basketball being my first love. My dad's been coaching for almost 25 years, I think, and so that was really my first true love, and it always will be. Got into baseball as I got older, travel ball and stuff like that, little league. Played travel ball for 2 or 3 years, I think, and there was just one summer I thought, it's just kind of taken up a lot of my time. I think I'm going to be done with this, and that's really when I sprung into golf and started taking that seriously, because growing up I played a little bit, just kind of playing with. My dad would take us out to the driving range and whatnot, and we'd mess around. But after I stopped playing baseball, I really got into golf, and I think it worked out for me, and it was awesome.
As I say, you're. I remember first seeing you when I was coaching at Shelby, and obviously I coached your brother, and knew your parents and all that stuff, and knew you were coming up. And I remember seeing you at the weight room in the weight room, and I'm like, I'm excited to coach that kid in football. I think it was Coach Solis. It's like he doesn't play football. I'm like, that kid's going nuts in the weight room. He's got to. What's he doing in here? He's like, he golfs and plays basketball. I'm like, his energy does not suit golf. It suits football. Talk to me a little bit about that, because we've talked before about how you would have liked to been able to do that, but obviously couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no doubts in my mind that if football was, or I guess if golf was maybe a spring sport, whatever, if they were in different, seasons, that I would have been on the football field. And, you know, everyone said in high school, why are you playing golf? You can play golf the rest of your life. Football is kind of a one-time thing. And I thought about that. I even had a meeting with Coach Will my junior year about, maybe playing both, and it just wasn't going to work out, unfortunately. But it was awesome to get to watch, my best friends go out there and watch them have the success that they did, especially, like my junior and senior year. And it was awesome to get to watch them. But I definitely wish I could have, put the pads and helmet on and been out there with some of my best friends.
Oh, I'll tell you what, we could have used the energy. I know that. Holy cow. I remember you coming to class and all jacked up. I'm like, we've got to figure out how we can get this kid to do both. So for you, who are some coaches, people that have influenced you so far in your sports career?
Yeah, I think every coach that I've had has had, some sort of influence on me. And I think that's the most important thing is, taking something from, everyone that is trying to teach you, and making sure you do something with it. I think Justin Schroeder had a huge impact on me when he came in my junior year of golf. He got me thinking the right way and took my game to the next level, really. My junior year, when I first went to state, I didn't really have any expectations for anything like that going into that year. And, when I did it, the senior year rolled around, and, I had these thoughts of, well, you did it your junior year, you better make sure you do it your senior year. And Coach Schroeder really helped me, stay on track, and, you know, make sure that I wasn't thinking too far ahead, staying in the moment, like I said. And, we struggled. I struggled on early my senior year, and him and I got it back together. And, he was a super influential person on me, and he was able to give me advice, going into college as well, because he played at an elite Division III level program. And, his experience and, his words have been extremely valuable to me, and I owe him a ton.
So you mentioned earlier about your dad coaching for a long time. Was that difficult playing for your dad? I feel like a lot of kids play for their you know their dad when they're little at little league or whatever it is. But playing at a higher level at the high school, was that, how tough was that? Was there a lot of pressure on you?
I wouldn't say, I felt any more pressure or anything. We always did a pretty good job of, the player coach situation instead of father son. And, sometimes I think it got a little hard for me to understand, wrap my head around it, being 15, 16 years old. That's something that was, all I knew him as his dad, not coach. So, It was an amazing experience. I consider it, one of my biggest honors to have played for my dad. I enjoyed every second of it. But yeah, there was definitely some times where, I thought, oh man, this is just sometimes it's just too hard. Maybe I felt like he was taking it too hard on me or something like that. But, he always had my best interest in his, when he was doing what he was doing. So yeah, I loved it. And, looking back on it, hindsight's always 2020. I mean, like I said, he was doing everything he could for me to do it the right way.
Absolutely. Love it. Your dad and Coach Schroeder. Justin Schroeder is a phenomenal human being. Don't even get me started about how great of a coach and teacher he is. But you and Schroeder, he's another great basketball player. Kind of a hidden gem. That dude he gets after it. You and Schroeder ever go one on one on the golf course or in the basketball gymnasium?
I remember the first time I saw him play basketball. He came into practice on scout team, to play against us. And I'm like, what is he doing here? He's, he's a bigger set guy, but man, he got out there and he's got that left-handed stroke. I mean,
Oh,
looks like James Harden, and
smooth.
man, he really surprised me, man. He's definitely got a nice game to him, and on the golf course, we haven't really gone like one-on-one, but we've definitely done. We used to do like a Ryder Cups thing where we would play our coaches and teachers, and versus the golf team. And I remember me and Matthew Hyatt gave him a pretty big beat down one day during the Ryder Cup. So I'll always hold that one against him.
Love it. Schroeder's a great dude, but he is a competitor as well. Dude does not like to lose, which is good.
100%.
So for you, any games or golf matches you wish you could have back?
Oh man, basketball. If I had to pick one from basketball, I would say that my junior year we were playing in the tournament, and we had an awesome game going against Sandusky, and it came down to the last shot, and the atmosphere was incredible. We had the student section jumping around. And there's video of the teachers jumping around, and we ended up losing. So, but it was probably the most fun I've ever had. Playing a game of basketball. So if basketball, that would be the one I could get back, and then golf. Unfortunately, I three putted the last hole for bogey my senior year at state to miss all Ohio by a shot. So, if there was one hole of golf that I could go back and play, it would probably be that one. But I say I would like to go back if I could. I probably would, but I wouldn't change anything. It made me who I am today, and I enjoyed it.
That's got to drive. I mean, that would drive me nuts. You missed by one shot, being all Ohio. Geez, I mean, that's got to be something that you didn't just get over the next day, right?
No, it took some time to get over. It's a 2-day tournament, so you're thinking, man, just anywhere with 36 holes where I could have made up one shot. And of course, you could easily find a place where you make a shot up, but that's just how the cookie crumbled. And unfortunately, I didn't make it. But like I said, I think it made me work a little bit harder, and I didn't want to feel that way again.
Sure. So you mentioned playing, in front of the student section. Shelby's got a pretty crazy student section for basketball with the Red Rage. What was it like, especially a guy with your kind of energy? Are you feeding off that during the game, or are you kind of trying to stay focused?
100% feeding off that. Even the opposing team student section, you're feeding off that too. Yeah, when I was growing up, man, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, the Red Rage was really in its prime back then. So like you saw just every game at Joe Yon in the old high school was just packed to the ceiling with students, from all kinds of grades. You got the high schoolers and the middle schoolers, and then of course, there's the fifth and sixth graders standing at the top. And I mean, it was to the very top every single game. And I loved playing in front of my friends, and doing that, and just the whole community in general was always great to play in front of. And you talked about bringing the energy. The one thing that I was good about not playing football, I got to lead the dog pound, our student section for the football game. So I always feel like a piece of me was on the field, spiritually cheering on my teammates and starting chants and stuff like that. So at least the energy wasn't wasted 100%.
I was gonna say, and I'm sure I'm pretty sure I can remember. you having like no voice after football games. I'd see like, hey, what's up, Coach K? You know,
100%.
and I knew, you know,
I was always giving it my all.
yeah, the boys on the field are giving it everything, and then you know those of you that in the dog pound are doing the same thing. So, did you have any favorite chants from the student section? Are you sitting on the bench, you know, trying to get a drink real quick, get a breather real quick, and all of a sudden they start chanting, and you're like, "All right, let's go, put me back in."
You know, not that I could really think of. You know, I always liked the "I believe" chant before the game. You know, I believe that we will win. That one was always just a classic. But the "na na na na" one was always, you know, "Hey hey goodbye." You know, when you know you've sealed the deal and locked it up, that was always just a kind of a good thing to hear at the end of the night. So, but anything else, I can't really, you know, think about. But those are probably my favorite.
Love it, love it. Um, the weight room. How big of an impact did the weight room have on you? I feel like it's something that, and we talked about this in the pre-pod. A lot of times people don't understand the importance of the weight room until they're kind of out of competing. You got so much going on. It's really easy to be like, I'm going to go in and kind of half do it today in the weight room because you're tired or whatever you want to do something else. What impact did the weight room have on you?
Yeah, so, you know, I was always, you know, a smaller kid growing up, and the weight room was something that I was, you know, pretty good about in high school. We would always go to football agilities after basketball season had ended. So, you know, going into the spring and summer, we would go to football agilities, go up to lifting with the football team. You know, basically did everything with the football team except, you know, strap on the pads and the helmet. And it was a big thing for me, especially, you know, being as small as I was in high school. And you know, I was barely hitting the ball 200 yards in my freshman year on the golf course, and I knew that that was something that had to change. So, tried to get stronger, and you know, it worked for me. I really liked being up in Mad Dog. You know, your friends are up there, you guys are pushing each other. You know, even the football guys that aren't, you know, my teammates, we were still pushing each other, getting after it. You know, and I think that was part of my goal too, was to push those guys. And even in college now, it's extremely important. I wish I was better about it, truthfully, you know, being in the weight room more. Um, but when we get to college, you know, off-season workouts and stuff like that, I love all of our, you know, coaches up there. Strength coaches are amazing. Um, you know, they're a little more focused, like I said, on golf and flexibility and things like that. And that's really good because, you know, we're trying to focus on, you know, this one goal that we have, and, you know, we're willing to do whatever it takes, you know, in the weight room, in the classroom, whatever. But, you know, for anyone that wants to play collegiate sports at any level, the weight room is something that you're going to have to, you know, take some time and dig into for real.
No doubt, no doubt. So this is a question we kind of went over earlier, and you said you wanted to think about it. You said that you wanted to think about this when there's a lot of names popped in your head. But who would you say was the most or one of the most underrated teammates you had at Shelby High School?
Yeah. So for golf, I would say it was probably Dakota Pratt who graduated with me. You know, he put in the work, and it really showed. He went to Bluffton and played golf for college. He actually just finished up. So congrats to him. But you know, he came a long way from high school, you know, when we started, you know, when we were both 14, 15 years old to where he finished up. And then on the basketball floor, I would probably say is Matthew Hyatt. You know, he had a lot of potential, and you know, he's a good basketball player. Like I said, I mean, he was an underrated piece of the team, and so that's who I came to mind when you asked me that question.
Awesome. So for you, again, you know, bringing that energy, you had to have had, you know, pregame or pre-match routines or superstitions, right?
You know, superstitions was not really a thing of mine. You know, I wasn't a big got to eat this, got to do this, whatever, you know. But something I kind of adopted, like my junior and senior year of high school, before, you know, big tournaments. I started to listen to Hotel California by the Eagles before the round, and I'm not really sure where that came from. Something about that song just really mellows me out and puts me into a zen state of mind when my nerves were going crazy. So I would say that's about the only routine I had. And, you know, I've kind of drifted away from it. Hopefully I can get back into it. You know, that's one of my favorite songs ever. And I don't know, man, it's just something that kind of came to me, and I started playing good when I was doing it. So I'm like, let's just let this ride. So maybe it might have become a little bit of a superstition.
Love it. I love it. You mentioned a little bit of advice already, but any other advice for young golfers? I feel like golfing, um, you had said a lot of people told you when you were in school, like, hey, man, why don't you play football? You can golf for the rest of your life. Golf is a perfect old man's game. You can hobble around, you can take the golf cart, whatever, and swing a club till till you die. But as far as golfing with the younger generation, it's not a rah rah sport. It's tough to I would imagine tough to get kids to go out and focus on that. What's your advice for kids that want to pursue golf?
I think the biggest thing is just staying committed to the game and, really becoming obsessed with the process of getting better and knowing that it's not going to happen, in one day or 1 week or a year. It slowly, gradually becomes something that, you become good at, just like anything, really. The thing with golf is it's probably the most time consuming sport there is, and days get long out there when you're going from the driving range to the putting green, back out on the course, back up to the driving range, back to the chipping green, whatever it is. You just really got to stay committed and focused on what you're trying to do, and that was something that really helped me. And like I said, talking with Coach Schroeder when he came in was, he helped me really lock into that state of mind. And like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a sport that, not many people, can take on just because of the mental grind that it is. And it is a mental grind. I think it's the closest sport to life that there is. You get, there's a lot of breaks that things and that you don't control in golf, and it's a lot like life. And you can either pack it up and quit and roll over, or you can keep going. And that's my advice. Just always keep going and stay committed to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you mentioned the mental side of it. Mentality in sports is everything, man. You look at baseball. You're in the Hall of Fame as long as you don't cheat. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times, that's crazy to think that you failed that many times
Unbelievable.
and you're a stud. So the mental side of if you don't do well, to kind of pick it up and keep going, because a lot of people can just easily quit. Uh, how mentally tough do you have to be to play golf and do it at a high level? You're talking about playing, at Westbrook and tying the course record, dude. I mean, holy cow, man! If you're not mentally tough, even if you are mentally tough, you can screw that up.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, my junior and senior year, I really developed that, good attitude, not worrying about things that I can't control, only focusing on what I can control, my attitude, you know, the way I swing the golf club, the way I react to shots, stuff like that. I think a little bit of it might have got away from me, my mindset when I got to college. Just, I don't know if it was maybe intimidation or just thinking maybe I wasn't good enough, but slowly but surely I redeveloped that. And I'm coming off the best season I've had in my college career, and a lot of that's due to my attitude and just taking everything that comes, and just making sure I really, like they always say, just taking it one hole at a time. I'm just taking it one day at a time, and making sure that I always stay mentally sharp, because this game's 95% mental and 5% physical, truthfully. So that's something that I'm glad that I kind of refocused on and got back to my old ways.
Good deal. What is, in your opinion, there's so many out there, what is your favorite sports movie and why?
Uh, my favorite, probably, actual good movie, sit down sports. I think it's Remember the Titans, but my favorite sports movie has got to be Caddyshack. It's just an absolute instant classic. Just all kinds of great people, great one-liners. I mean, and it's just funny, man. It makes me laugh every time. I could watch that movie every day.
Love it. So if the Kehres family's having a nice dinner, sit down, they're going to watch a movie that night. Which one are they picking? What sports movie are they picking?
Truthfully, between mom's probably picking Remember the Titans, but me, dad, and Tristan, I think, are all turning up Caddyshack, and we want to laugh, man. We want to have a good time.
Love it. So the real reason I had you on the podcast was this next question. In your opinion, what is the best finishing move of all time in professional wrestling?
Oh man, there's a lot of great ones,
Oh yeah,
truthfully. But the guy that has this move, they called the great one, and that's Dwayne the Rock Johnson. And the most electrifying move in sports entertainment will always be the people's elbow. Him ripping off the elbow pad, throwing it into the crowd, just feeling the energy coming from the millions and millions of Rocky fans. And second place, very, very close second place, is the Stone Cold Stunner.
So roughly how many people's elbows did you dish out while you're at Shelby High School passing in the hallway? I mean, it's a good thing we had block scheduling, because if it was you know,
100%, man. I was bouncing off the lockers, and me and my friends are messing around. Like I said, I would act like I was ripping that elbow pad off and throwing it somewhere. And like I said, running, jumping over them, bouncing off the lockers, and I don't know, man. It might be too high to count to figure that number out.
oh man, that is awesome. That is awesome. Best high school lunch. What was your favorite lunch?
Whew, man. I know everyone's big on strips of fire, bacon cheeseburger, but I'm gonna go with the chicken littles. I think the chicken littles were always, as soon as you saw that, or you heard John Geis on the announcements, lunch today's chicken littles, you might as well chalk up doubles, because a growing boy like myself back in high school, I need 4 of those, not just 2.
Yeah, he says on the announcement, you're looking around like, all right, it's go time. It is go
Everyone,
time.
I'm locking in.
Love
Let
it.
me
Love
get
it.
through these 2 classes and get to my lunch.
Good stuff. Brock, thanks a lot for being on the podcast, man. And best of luck to you in the future, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. It was an awesome experience, and best of luck to you. And the podcast is awesome. Keep going, and appreciate you always, man.
Thanks a lot for listening to another episode of the Bases Loaded podcast. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bases Podcast.